Jai Hind everyone. I am Shruti Jain, Assistant Professor, MCA Department from Akgec Engineering College, Ghaziabad. The topic that we are going to discuss today is the object-oriented design, and this topic is covered under the software engineering subject. The subject code is KCA 302 and the target students are the MCA second year students, third semester. So, the things that we are going to discuss today are what are the object-oriented designs, which include the mentioning of the classes, object, messages, encapsulation, inheritance and polymorphism concepts, and the next one would be how to analyze and design the object-oriented design, that is the class diagram that we are going to discuss today. So, what is object-oriented design? Object-oriented design is a concept which forces the programmers to plan out their code to have a better flowing program. When we are talking about the object-oriented design, here the attention is not onto the functions that are performed by the program, but instead on the data that are to be manipulated by the program. So, that is why here we talk about the concept of the classes and the objects. The object-oriented design, it begins with the examination of the real world things that are the part of the problem to be solved, and these things which we call are the objects are characterized individually in terms of their attributes and their behavior. The object-oriented design, it is not dependent on any specific implementation language. Here the problems are modeled using the objects, and the objects have the behavior and the state. The behavior is the things that they do, and the state which changes when they do those things. So, when we are talking about the concept of classes, this behavior is talked about, is considered when we are talking about the data members, and these are demonstrated by the member functions. So, there are various terms that are related to the object design are the classes, objects, message, encapsulation, that is information hiding, inheritance, generalization, polymorphism and hierarchy. So, let us discuss each one of the thing in brief what they basically mean. So, what is a class? A class is an extensible program code template that is used for creating the objects, providing initial values for the state and implementation of the behavior. They refers to a blueprint which defines the variables and the methods the object support. It is a basic unit of encapsulation, and it is also defined as a collection of similar type of objects. A set of objects with similar behavior and information may also constitute a class. Within a class, we already discussed that we have the object. So, what an object is? It is an instance of a class. Each object has a class that defines its data and behavior. An object is a software bundle of related variables and methods. Software objects are often used to model the real world objects you find in the daily life. So, if we talk about the classes and objects, so if we talk about a class, the class could be the automobile. And if we talk about the objects in automobile, we can have the car, we can have bus, we can have scooter. So, that is the four-wheelers, the two-wheelers, or we have some different types of wheelers. So, this class is a blueprint of a bigger thing, and whatever objects or the instances that can be created which carries those properties becomes an object of that class. So, if we look here, we have a class of a book where we have the book. It has some of the attributes like what all properties that book will have, and these are the operations that the book can perform. So, if we look at the book, every book will have an access number. It will have a subject descriptor which will be of the type string. String is the combination of alphanumeric variables. Every book will have a ISBN number which is taken into a long because it is a very large value. Then every book will have a book title, the language in which it is written, the name of the author, like the first name of the author, because some of the authors may have a very large name. So, we are having the author's first name and the author's last name and the publisher who is publishing that book. So these are the attributes which are common to all the type of the books. So these are the attributes. Now coming to the functionality or the operations that this class can perform. The book can be added into the library, so that is with the add book function. One can delete the book from the library. Deletion could be when the book is torn off or it is to be discarded. So we need to delete that book from that catalog. So delete book. Update book could be when a person is issuing that book, so that needs an update that this copy is, if we have the multiple copies, these number of copies are still left or these number of copies are taken up or issued. So that is update book. Or when the user is returning the book, then again the value of the already existing book needs to be incremented. So that is the update book. The other one could be view book, just to check whether that book is existing or not, or what all type of books of the same subject are available into the library. So every class, what I want to say is that every class is divided into two parts, where the first part talks about the attributes, that is the data members, what all members are there in a class. And the second part talks about the operations, that are the member functions that class could be doing. Coming to what messages, objects communicate through passing messages, because only single object is not possible to be made for a class. A message is a request to perform an operation by some object in the system. A message may consist of the identification of the target object, name of the requested operation, and the other relevant information for processing the request. So here we have two types of objects. One is the sender object and the other one is a receiver object. Both the objects have their own properties and methods, like here and here. Now when the message passing takes place, this message passing takes place with the help of these methods. So either one would be sending the value and the return value and what he gets in return. So this is how the message passing takes place, where we have the sender and the return value, and on the other hand we have a receiver with a method and some properties. The next one that we have is encapsulation. It is also known as information hiding concept, where the data and operations are combined into a single unit. The only way to access data is through the operations that are designed to operate on the data. Only those functions can be executed which are being accessed by the object. We cannot directly access any of the member function. The data is not available to the external world, that what we were talking. We cannot directly access any of the attribute or the method. We need to access it with the help of the object. This concept may make the data safe and secure from external interventions. So here, if we look here, we have the different types of methods, and all those methods have a lot of attributes in it. Now these methods will only be accessing these attributes. So this is how the encapsulation works. These methods will only be accessed by the object. Inheritance. It is when an object or a class is based on another object or a class using the same implementation. A class inherits state and behavior from its superclass. The inheritance provides a powerful and the natural mechanism for organizing and structuring the software programs. The next topic that we have is generalization, which expresses a parent-child relationship among related classes. It is used for abstracting details in several layers. So if we talk about, if we take an example of a customer, we have the customer as a regular customer or the loyalty customer, but this is the generalization of the customer only. So the symbol that we use for generalization is like this, where here we have the generalized class and here we have the subclass. Many of the subclasses may be generalized to a single class, like this. Polymorphism. Polymorphism refers to the programming language's ability to process objects differently depending on their data type or class. We have two types of polymorphism, the compile time polymorphism and the runtime polymorphism. The compile time polymorphism talks about when Identification of methods of the derived class is the decision of executing the methods is taken up at the compile time. This is also known as the static polymorphism. The runtime polymorphism is when you are running the program only, then the decision is taken up which method to execute. This is also known as a dynamic polymorphism. So here we have the class diagram of a library where we have different classes. The first class that we have is the books, the students. Now these are, and the other class that we have is the login details. So when we talk about the book details, we have the attributes again as a book ID, the book name, the author name, publisher, copies in the book bank, copies in general, and the methods for the class will be add book or update the number of copies. Similarly, if we talk about the student details, the student will again have his own attributes like student ID, student number, the name, course, number of book bank issued, number of general books issued. These are the attributes again. Now coming to the methods, we have get student details, the add student, delete student, update student. Now these are the super classes, the parent class. Now the child class could be, when we are talking about the book, we have the issue book details that only talks about the books that are to be issued. So the issue book details will only have the book ID, the barcode and the issued. It need not to have all the details that are there in the book details as well. Now when you inherit this class, all the properties of this will come to this class directly. Again, when you are issuing the book, we have different methods as add, delete, issue and return, because these are the methods that are purely available for the issue book details. Similarly, if we talk about the student issued books details, again we need not to have all the attributes like this. We can only have the student barcode ID and the book barcode ID, because with the help of the student ID and the barcode ID of the book, we can easily identify the book is to be issued to, which book is to be issued to which student. And when you inherit, all these things will be automatically coming here. So for this class, we'll only have the add or delete, whether the student will issue the book. So in that case, the book will be added to his account, and if the student is returning the book will be deleted from his account. So again, it is inheriting the class. Similarly, we have the login details, wherein we only have the user ID, the username, password and the role of the user. The user role could be, the user could be a faculty, the user could be a student, it could be an administrator, or it could be a librarian, or any other role that comes under the user role. And accordingly, we have the methods as add, delete, update. So we have another class diagram for the banking management system, where we have the role class, which talks about the role ID, the title and the description, which is being managed by the admin, where the admin can either add, edit, delete a role, search a role or assign a role. For user, we again have these all as the attributes and the methods. If we look into the account section, where we have the account ID, the account customer ID and all. For fixed deposit, we again have another class. For employees, we have another class. For balance, we have another class. For customer and the permission. Now, each class is connected to another class with certain permissions. So this is how we are talking about the relationship. Like one customer can have multiple permissions in order to work over here. So this customer class can be inherited by the permission class. Similarly, every user can have a different role. So this user can inherit this role class. Similarly, this accounts will again be handled by a role class. It is again connected to this. Fixed deposit, because this fixed deposit is a part of the customer, the balance and the employee. So this fixed deposit is connected to all of them, and it is inherited by the permission class, because the permission class is a super class which is inherited by multiple classes. Until and unless a permission is granted to a person, he could be a customer, he could be an employee, or he could be an admin or the manager. the user cannot perform any of the task. So if we look into the class diagram as a whole, the class diagrams always contain two of the things. The first thing is the attribute, which possesses or which talks about the things that a class can do, and how those things can be worked upon are talked about by these methods which are explained in the member functions of the class. Every class can be inherited or every class can be accessed by an object. The member functions and the attributes of this class cannot be accessed outside this class until and unless we access it with the help of an object. With the concept of inheritance, we can inherit the properties of the parent class, or the subclass can inherit the properties of superclass. In that case, every class will have its own properties, but if they want an extension to those properties can be extended by inheriting the parent class. Again, the attributes and the functions of the parent class will only be accessed by the child class object. The attributes will not be available or cannot be accessed outside the class simply. That's all for today. Thank you.